Well, good morning, everybody. I guess we got the steiger here. So what we're gonna do with this steiger is I'm gonna use this thing to mow sagebrush. Why, you ask? Because we have it and I have no other use for it. So this thing we've had for a few years. Got it, never used it. So I decided you either get rid of it or figure a use out for it. So we're gonna use it. So what I need to do is I need to put a PTO on this thing. Now, Steiger made a PTO for these, but only for the PT series. The only problem is I have no idea how they ran it. I do know it ran hydraulically. They did make a gearbox with a PTO shaft out the back that goes behind this plate here. There's a hole, and that's where all the motor and everything set in there. I believe they did run it with a hydrostatic transmission, but how they drove the pump, I have no idea. And there is only one video on YouTube of one of these with a PTO in it, and it was on a manual transmission. This is an automatic. The engine's sitting farther forward on the automatic. So I've been trying to wrap my head around how we're going to mount this pump, a hydrostatic pump, which I have the hydrostat sitting right here. I'm running a 23 series Sunstrand hydrostatic transmission, and that's what's going to power that PTO. They claim that the PTO on these things is only about 100 horse, which if they ran it with that big of a PT or that big of a hydrostat, I don't know how they come up with 100 horse, because I think that thing will put some serious power down. So what I did is I went down to the junkyard. I can't find anybody that has a PTO for these things. So this is I guess if you have one of these steigers with a PTO on it, it's a rare tractor, because there ain't too many of them out there, I don't think. And like I said, I don't know how they ran the pump. My guess is they ran it off the front of the crank, running a drive line off the front of the crank with the pump mounted in there. But to do that, they must have had a smaller radiator in them, or they put a hole through the middle of the radiator. But the thing is that one that's on YouTube, that it's a short video of it, the pump isn't hanging out the front of it. So it's got to be in underneath this thing somewhere. Anyways, I was gonna just say heck with it. I was gonna take the radiator out, take it down to the radiator shop, tell them to put a hole in the middle of it, and run that pump out the nose here, and mount it right on the nose of this tractor right here. But I kind of want to keep everything underneath this thing, because I don't really want to change the way the tractor looks. So then we were thinking, well, I'll mount it in underneath and run belts off the pulley, front of the crank down, and mount it underneath the frame here. But there you go again. The way that frame is, I would have to revamp the fan shroud and put a smaller fan in it again, because the fan is covering up the frame. So I'm trying to avoid taking away cooling capacity of this tractor. So So the only other option is, and we were discussing it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a shaft, a drive shaft, right down the side of this engine, basically like that one, not that one, it's too short, but anyways, run a drive shaft right down the side of this engine to the back and run that pump back there, because I have lots of room back there to mount it. There's a ton of room between the back of the engine and the cab. So we're going to run belts off the front. I don't know if we're going to run V-belts or if I'm going to get a poly chain and run off the front of it, and I'm going to run this shaft, put a bearing block here, put a bearing block back there, and then run a short drive line off the shaft to the pump, like real short, just so I don't have to be completely perfect with that drive or that shaft or anything on that pump to be lined up with this shaft. So that's what we're gonna do. Well, it's a couple days, I guess, since I started this. So anyways, there's snow on the ground again. Imagine that. So I was gonna work on it yesterday, but it was doing this yesterday, so, and that's the way it is. So anyways, so I went and got some bearings. I got 1.5 inch shaft cold roll. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come off of those 2 bolts on the side of the motor mount, which is on the bell housing, come up 15 inches from the bottom, the second bolt down, come up 15 inches and then come straight over 90 it straight into the block, and then I'm going to set that on top of it. So this piece here is going to be 6 inches, 6 inch by 15 inches is what I'm going to make this piece right here, and it's going to come up and then go right into that. So I'm running a drive line off the back of this shaft into the pump. So that's how that's going to attach to the pump. So I'm going to come off the frame. The frame here with a metal bracket to hold the pump, but as of right now, that's how it's got to go. So going to be interesting here. So I'm trying to get this thing as close, this bearing is far enough forward this way as possible so I can have more room behind me, being I'm going to have a drive line back there. So that's how that's going to have to be. Ideally I'd put it further, but that bearing is going to limit me to where I got to be. I mean, I guess I could bring this out. I could bring it out further, but then we're going to be dealing with the hood and the stuff with the pump. So, and I got to raise it up and over the top of this. So I'm trying to shoot for right in this gap right here, straight back is where I'm trying to aim for. So that's where I'm at right now. So I'm going to go get that piece cut and see if we can get it in there so we can start in. So I'm going to bolt into those 2 there, and then I'm going to catch these 2 up here on the side of the motor. Well, that should stiffen it up. So that's what we got, and then we'll deal with the front here. Well, I got that plate bolted in there. I cut it off. Apparently I cut it too short. I guess I should have left it alone. I actually cut it twice because I thought it was too long. Now it's too short. So I built this plate for the back. So the bearing's gonna go right in there. So anyways, I'll have to do something here, but I ain't making another one, so we can work with that. I just do a little different here. I mean, really, this thing doesn't need to be this long, so I can come off this and hit this. But I don't know. It's actually, it's pretty consistent. So anyways, I'll probably just, it's like a 1/2 inch too low, so I'll probably lay the 1/2 inch plate and then weld it into the side of that one. And then this is going to be cut off because there's going to be a bolt hole through it, and this is going to be in the way, so it'll all work out. So I rescue that and I get this plate cut, and see there, see what we got. Alright, well, I got an inside plate there made. Had to notch it, which actually worked out because it's actually going to be relatively close to the top, the deck of that block. So this is where the bearing's going to sit. So it should all work out anyways. So I'm gonna get this bolted back on here, and then I need to drill the holes for this where the bearing's gonna bolt on this plate. So let's get that bolted back on there, and we'll go from there. This is a water jacket that this thing's bolting to right here, which I was hoping it was gonna stay, but it's leaking water out of it, so I'll probably have to put a new gasket on this. Stops when you tighten it up though, so maybe I won't. I don't know. I probably ought to though. Any freezing water running out on the ground. And that'll sit right there like so. And the bearing will sit right on there like that. So, yes, I'll mark the holes for this bearing. And we can get this part welded on here. Let's get this thing, see if I screwed up here. Well, it's a little bit off. This isn't, it's close. I did get it, cut a little too much off that inside there, but it says it's sitting flat, but the engine's not sitting flat. The engine's rocked this way a little bit, so I guess it's close enough for what it's doing. That's all that matters. So I'll probably, what I'm gonna do actually, so it's not so goofy looking here, I'm gonna probably put this here, and this part will be square. And I'm going to angle this thing off, cut this off right here, because I don't need this part here. on there. And then this part here, it can actually be cut from down here up to here. That don't need to be on there. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna cut this off, and I'll cut this off here. That way, kind of clean things up, make it look a little more professional. So, all right, I'm gonna get that cut off, and I'll be right back. All right, well, I got everything cut the way I want it. So I did cut the back side of this thing. It didn't need to be on there either, so that's a lot better like that. So I guess we'll get the welding leads over here, tack this thing together, pull it off and weld it. Hopefully I might put a gusset in on this side. Well, I don't know. I know I'm gonna warp that thing. Trying to figure out how not to warp it. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now. So let me get some welding leads over here and we'll tack this thing together. Well, I thought I had you guys recording, but I didn't. So anyways, I got her all welded together. I put a brace in there and a brace right there. Not that it really needed it, but I tried to do that to keep it from warping. Did I succeed? No, I didn't. It warped anyways. So let's see if I can get this laid over here. See how bad it warped. I don't know how bad it warped it, but it warped it. So got a little bit of a bow to her. So that'll probably break the flange. So anyways, there's that. It's built. Question is if it'll go back on, but I'm gonna wait till she cools off before I go trying to stick that back on there. So I'm gonna let that cool off and clean her up, and we'll stick it back on there real quick. So here in a little bit. Hey, all right, looks like it's all worked out. So that part's bolted in. Now the front. So I'm gonna come off with these two bolts here and come out. Actually, I'd probably come out across here like this. There's no sense coming this way. So I'll have to build a plate there and then angle it. Come out and probably angle it and go down to get in underneath this thing, because I'm not gonna have anything in here. And then I'm gonna come off the bottom of this down here, off the side of this motor mount down here, and come up and then bring it up and around this belt here. So I'll come straight up and then I'll start bringing it out to catch the bottom of this thing. So as of right now, the shaft is going, it's going uphill and it needs to go downhill, which I guess I could just turn this, because according to the top of this engine, which I know is kind of a rough deal, but it is, I don't know, somewhere in there, but it's pretty close to going downhill, so I could turn this fan because it's sitting on the fan here and get it to go downhill maybe. Probably went too far, but I also need to know in and out of the engine to try to square it up with the belts here. So anyways, I'm gonna do some pondering on this one and see where I'm at, what I need to make here to get to here. So I'll be back with you, but at least the back one is done and mounted. So I'll be back. Well, we have an update on it. So I didn't film any of it, but anyways. So I got the bottom pulley made. So what I did is I built that shaft right there. I gotta pull it out. I gotta put a key in it. Anyway, so I'll pull it out here. When I pull it out, I'll show you the whole thing. But anyways, that's what I got made there. I didn't film making it, but I made it. So now I am going to make the tensioner pulley, which is going to sit right in here to tighten this belt up. I am going to have to cut this groove off of this fan hub because it's going to hit this belt here. So I'm going to cut this off so the belt will clear this. It is not being used for anything. It can't be used. I don't know what it can be used for in the current setup on this thing, so I'm not using it. So we're gonna cut that off. That way this belt will clear and it won't have any interference. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this pulley sheave and make an idler out of it. So my plan is I'm going to take this, machine it out, or machine it down, turn it down so it'll clear, this thing will slide in it, and then I'm going to set this up and machine all the insides of this to put bearings in it. I have a spindle somewhere in this pile that I need to find. I was going to use for a different project. There's actually two in here. One's still got the brake hub on it, and the other one has been disassembled. So I'm going to see if I can find that, and we'll get to cutting and doing stuff. So I'll be right back. Well, I found it. So I thought it was in this mess, so I tore that mess all apart. Then I got to thinking, I think it was over there. So I looked over there and it was sitting over there. So that was a waste of time. But anyways, I was gonna build this whole mess. Like I was gonna say, I was gonna do this, put this, machine this out, put the bearings in it and all that stuff. But then I decided, why not just cut that out of that hub, as a brake disc off that hub, and just use what's already made. That way the inside's already done. I don't even have to deal with it. Just turn the outside to fit in the hole. So that's what we're gonna do. So I just saved myself a bunch of work. So I'm gonna get this chucked up in the lathe and get to turning, I guess. Let's see if I can get this mess of cut out of here, smooth it all up. So let's get her chucked up and see what we got. So, set you guys down right here. think I'm going to take the wire wheel and clean that up a little bit, see if I can get her smoothed up. Hey guys, so what I'm doing here is I got a lot of jagged edges on this thing that when I cut it off with the plasma cutter to get it completely off, it's very uneven. So I'm going to set up the dial indicator here and try to get it close on the smooth part, which I don't know. It was kind of goofy the way it is, and this is the only type of dial indicator I have, so I can't measure the inside of it where the bearings run, so to get it true that way. So this is as close as I can get it, which it turned out pretty close anyway. So but it is a slow process. I'm only taking, little bits at a time, trying to get that jagged part off of there. I kept looking at it right here, and it just didn't look right. Kept looking like it was still out of whack, so I kind of repositioned it a little bit there to try to get it more trued up. But it is a slow deal here, trying to cut this jaggedness off of here. I probably should have took the grinder to it and kind of took most of it off, but I didn't. So I'm running about 70 RPMs on this, trying to cut this out of here. So, but I'm not taking a whole hell of a lot at a time. So that's what we're doing right here. So anyways, we ran into a problem. I built the hub and everything for the idler on this thing, so bearings were all locked up, so I had to get some other bearings ordered. So I ordered some bearings to finish that up. So I guess while I'm waiting on bearings for that so I can finish the front of it, we'll put the pump in, or get it mounted in here. So it's gonna go right down in there, right underneath the air cleaner intake tube. And we're going to drive line off of this shaft right to it, so let's get it in here and see what we got. Make them out. Well, due to a series of events, my pump mounting deal did not go as planned. So the way I was going to mount it, it's the setup I have. I can't get the pump in there because the drive line that I'm going to put in there is too long. So now Monday I'm gonna be working, and I'll hopefully get my other parts. So we're gonna change the coupling setup for this to a like a Lovejoy coupler with no drive line, and I'm gonna mount that thing somewhere into where it's at right there. So that's what I'm gonna do with that. So I'm kind of at a standstill on this whole project. I'm waiting on some bearings to finish the front of the engine for the idler. So the only thing I could do was I had to cut the rib off of that the front of this fan pulley, because it was a 4-rib fan pulley, which I did yesterday, and I didn't film it. Anyways, I cut the front rib off of it because the belt that's going to run that shaft was going to hit it, so I had to get it out of the way. So I cut it off, so now the belt will clear it. Hopefully, I hope. So I get that put back on there, which is just a matter of putting the 4 bolts back in it and bolting it back up there. I have the steering auto steer stuff that showed up yesterday. I'm putting Easy Pilot on it. All the wiring, steering wheel, should be everything here to make it run. I do have a what is that, an XCN Trimble with a nav 500 antenna that is going on this, that we have bought for our another tractor, and was trying to run it without no auto steer, and come to find out that's almost impossible. It's possible, but it's not like I wanted it. So anyway, so we are gonna put that in here, but under investigation. So we have this 9130 that we put, basically the same setup that we're putting in this. Well, it is the same setup that we're putting in this one, in that. And the steering column in that and the steering column in this and all the bracketry is the same. So I climbed up in here, we were looking at it, and I kept looking at it, and I go, something ain't right, because that won't clamp on there. Now, if anybody knows, Steiger put General Motors steering columns in their tractor. This tractor. This is what's supposed to be in this tractor. The problem is, somebody has taken the original steering column out of this tractor and put a newer GM steering column in it. So there lies the problem. It's not that the thing won't go on it. I'm pretty sure it will, because basically it sits on the splines right here. You take this off, pop the steering wheel off, and it sits. You put their bracket on there and you bolt that motor to it. The problem lies is where, well, hell, I'll just show you. There's a ring that clamps around that steering column to hold the motor from spinning. Which is in this box, I believe. Nope, that's the steering wheel. Right here, this thing. This ring right here needs to clamp around that steering column, and then there's a rod that bolts to the motor, the electric motor, and goes right down through that hole. So, which is supposed to be mounted right around that, clamp around that right there. The problem is this part right here is not there on the original steering column. This part is bulged out. There should be a lip in here where this thing would sit. So I went to the junkyard looking for a dang GM steering column to put in this, and I couldn't find one. So from what I could tell, they pulled this out of like an S10 or a late 80s Chevy GM pickup something. This one would have had, so I need the wiper switch and the dimmer switch on the turn signal, because there is no wiper switch for the front windshield wiper on this tractor on the dash. So it had to have been here. So I went and I thought I found one. It was a tilt column out of like a 78, I think, Chevy pickup. And the problem was, which I thought was weird, but maybe, I don't know, I'm not up to date on Chevy stuff, so maybe they did back in 78. It had a steering, it had the stuff on it, had a switch and everything on it, but the weird thing was is the switch was for like cruise control. So I was kind of odd, it was kind of odd to me about that. So, and the turn signal switch was right up at the edge of the, up in here. So this still wouldn't clamped around there where it was supposed to clamp. So I didn't get it. So my only other option is really all I need, because I believe this thing sits in there about like that somehow. Matter of fact, I can go look at this case and see how it is. But anyways, it sits in there something like that. Really all I need is a bracket to come off of here with a hole in it. So I'm almost, this should be, granted it's probably cast aluminum, but I might be able to weld a bracket to this and bring it out here and just put a hole through it, because that's all that does. That's all that bracket does. It doesn't hold the, it does not hold the motor. It just keeps it from spinning. That's all that does. So I might do that. I called the tractor salvage yard to see if they had a steering column for a 91 series tractor, and they seemed to think that they were all gone. But so we still have to do that. So that is the project for the day, or my headaches for now. So I guess while I'm waiting on this stuff, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll think I'm gonna cut the video right here and get you guys out what I got right now, which isn't a whole heck of a lot. So hope you guys enjoy. This tractor will be done, just waiting on some parts. So I will see you guys on the next one.